Ojumens, established in 1936, was a closed town governed by a subsidiary of De Beers called Consolidated Diamond Mines, or CDM, now known as NAMDEB, and provided the residents, mostly employees of the mine, with all the services they required, ranging from infrastructure development to providing essential services. In the 1990s, however, NAMDEB, which outsourced many of the town's services, started scaling back their role in the town, and now Ojumens or OMDis' journey to 2030 has begun. Welcome. My name is Erica Gebhardt, and to detail the town's transformational journey into the future, we're joined by Danny Meyer, the co-founding shareholder, director, and first CEO of SMEs Compete, and an entrepreneur with a business background in Zambia, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and South Africa, with a passion for enterprise and entrepreneurial development, with a vision to help Africa achieve its full potential as a continent. Thank you for joining us. So to start off our discussion, how are you involved in Ojumens' transformation?
Well, SME Compete has been engaged to help ignite or reignite that spark of entrepreneurship with those in the town who harbor entrepreneurial ambition, and to help those who are already in business grow their business to become the wind under their wings. And that might be to get them out of that mindset that you're operating in a closed environment, to actually see the bigger picture, the domestic economy, and indeed what else can be done in that part of Namibia.
So what does SME development involve, and why is it an important economic driver?
Well, to take the local economy of Ojumens beyond mining. Mining is finite, so it's coming to an end. And the town should not end up like many other towns that have been developed around mining. When mining ceases, slowly deteriorates and becomes a ghost town. So to ensure that that doesn't happen, one has to look at what already is in place in terms of business and service delivery, goods and service delivery, and make sure that you can expand that. And of course, it also has to be linked with enticing further investment into the town, so that that there's a gradual transformation from that reliance on land-based mining or even offshore mining. So what does it entail? Well, you have to start at grassroots, actually. You have to start with the basics. Do people who've operated a business in a closed environment actually understand the importance of customer service, honing their business skills, the importance of compliance, because they now are not going to be part of a little enclave, but part of the greater requirement of the country. They also need to be helped to actually understand the importance of growing their business, putting in place structures where you develop your staff, your employees. And more importantly, they need to be encouraged to look beyond that domestic market. Can they do business in that region, geographical region? There are other towns such as Roshpina, which is close by, and further afield, of course, Aus, Luderitz, Keetmanshoop and so on, the region, and indeed across the border, because that's what we're promoting. Namibia should not continue to be inward looking, only look at how we can service the local needs. Should also look at what can be done in external markets. And there, Ojumens really has a favorable position. It's right there on the border of the biggest market in sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah, absolutely.
That huge economy. And it's so strategically closely located to that the metro, Cape Town metro, and the population there. So businesses in Ojumens actually are in a very, very favorable position in that sense. So in summary, skills, you've got to get skills honed, got to make sure that structures are in place so that the business are not only viable but are sustainable. And thirdly, you need to encourage those who are already in business, perhaps in the informal sector, cottage industry and so on, to actually scale their business. And of course, by doing that, you develop the local economy, and that serves in itself as an inducement for others to come invest in the town.
Wow. So how do you gauge whether a town like Ojumens is actually responding to these economic indicators?
Well, the easy way is to look at the jobs that are being created and the wealth that's being created. That's normally, economists might be a bit more expansive on that, but let's put it just in straight layman's terms. It's looking at the number of jobs and the wealth. So the jobs are easy to measure. If an enterprise had 2 employees, if they're going to grow, they're going to have 3, 4, 5, 10, 50 employees. Wealth creation usually comes in terms of value addition. Are you adding new revenue streams, new product lines? So you can easily measure that by seeing the growth of a firm's turnover, sales. And then also, of course, you measure it in terms of newcomers, who comes into the town, in terms of setting up business. And that's not only selling goods, but actually making products and providing services. So that's very easy to track in the short, in the medium, and in the long term. And in the long term, obviously, you want to take Ojumens beyond just trading, because it's a mining town. It's going through that transformation. Everything is centered around the mine and the people who've worked for the mine, or the people who worked for the mine in the past and might now have retired and stayed on. So you've got to look beyond that, and that's of course where you can see how responsive the locals are, because they might have run a little accommodation establishment. Are they actually able to scale that up and look at new possibilities, not only expanding the facility by adding more bedrooms and so forth, but value addition services? Are they actually going to things like providing local tours or teaming up with locals and car rental and so on and so forth? And then of course accommodation establishments will constantly require services in 2 ways. One on the maintenance side, electrics, plumbing, minor repairs and so on. Are those services available in Ojumens, or do you have to keep bringing them from outside? And if you can get that right, then of course those service providers, the electricians, plumbers, to put it in simple terms, they can also do business beyond the border of the town. The other way you look at it is those accommodation establishments, and I'm using accommodation establishment because people can easily identify with that. They're going to need staff, protective clothing for their staff, uniforms. They're going to need bed linen. They're going to need furniture when they upgrade the room, headboards and so on, and new beds and tables. And are those available locally, or are they imported in town? So there is a ready market. Is a carpenter setting up in town to make some of that furniture? And is there a manufacturer, say somebody who's making clothing, who can actually move into curtaining and bed sheets, bed linen, tablecloths and so on? And can that person then be helped to even scale further to start providing other lodges and accommodation establishments in the Karas region, or even beyond into Namibia? And as I said earlier, Ojumens is so well located, right on the border with South Africa. Can you now start supplying into the towns in the Northern Cape first, Springbok, and in Port Nolloth and so on? And I have worked on this type of project before. In Roshpina was one area I worked, and we saw how an upholsterer who was just doing very basic upholstery work in town, people's lounges, chairs like this being reupholstered, how you can scale him up actually, and he can start doing repairs on tents, on canvas covers for vehicles, even tennis court, the nets, they have that strip on the top. And so you, instead of that, those sort of upholstery jobs going to South Africa, to Springbok or down to Cape Town, you actually satisfy the local need, and you entice customers from across the border to actually start using your service. So it's if you structure it you can actually grow the town's local economy. But you need buy-in, Erica. That's the important thing. You need buy-in from the local authority. You need buy-in from the regional governance structure, the regional Karas region. You need buy-in from national government. You need to get the government of the country, Namibia, to also understand the importance of putting some incentives, some inducement in place that encourages entrepreneurship and facilitates the development of an enterprise culture. Because remember, you're dealing with people who've lived in a closed environment. They've been spoiled to an extent. And now you're saying to them, be part of Namibia. You know the town, you know the environment. Some of you have started little businesses. The mine's closing down, but that's okay. The mine actually leaves us with a lovely infrastructure in terms of water reticulation, buildings, roads, and so on. Let's now take that and actually develop this into a sustainable local economy that actually is going to produce and deliver not only for the people, but contribute to the country's wealth and become part of our export drive, so that Namibia can actually start generating more export earnings. At the moment, we don't. The country is very much a consumer. We're not actually generating that income from value addition. We're generating from minerals and exporting products in its primary form.
In your opinion, is there scope for investors and business growth within Ojumens?
Ojumens has a lot to offer, and we don't really have the time to get into detail, so I'm just going to touch on a few of the USPs, the unique selling points or proposition that Ojumens has to offer. Firstly, its location. You can't really find a better location if you want to service the domestic market as well as the export market. So you can get a good blend there of local business and outside of the country. It's right on the Orange River. It's close to Cape Town Metropole, and between the border and Cape Town there are several larger towns in the Northern Cape as well as the Western Cape. So ample opportunities to take your business outside and build up a customer base outside the country. Particularly if you compare it to any of the other larger urban areas, Windhoek South, even Keetmanshoop is still some considerable distance away from the border, the Luderitzes, Marienthal and Rehoboth. The second thing is the infrastructure. An investor will just drool when they see what's available in that town in terms of buildings. The mines put up good structures. They're all well energized, so it's three-phase electricity and so on. So a lot of those buildings, of course, are now standing vacant because mining has moved offshore. And so there's already a very good infrastructure there in terms of property, the services that the town has to offer, even accommodation, the support services such as medical education, perfect to entice an investor coming there, because investors know the employees will be looking for that. The third thing is that Ojumens is part of Namibia, which is part of Southern African Customs Union, SACU, as well as the CMA. And that already means that bureaucracy, red tape, exchange control, money movement, movement of goods and services is unhindered of all the paperwork and the bureaucracy that you go through. The only thing that needs to still be worked on would be people movement, and I understand that on a bilateral basis the government are looking at that, because that would still frustrate investors when they have to go through rigmarole with work permits and so on. Not only for long-term employees and management, but even just coming up to provide a service. Let's say IT experts and so on need to come up for a short while. That is frustration one hears from the companies. Many other advantages as well, availability of water, as I say, the availability of the infrastructure, the good infrastructure there helps with transportation. There's a lovely new road, tarred all the way from Ojumens that comes right up to Windhoek. That section, which was gravel or dust road, it's a lovely road. So government actually has had the foresight to invest in the infrastructure, and it now beholds the private sector of Namibia to take or to seize the advantages that exist of actually moving your business into Ojumens. Those who are already in business in town, or those who harbor a desire, they want to be entrepreneurs, better not snooze, they better move quickly. And of course, when it comes to attracting foreign investment in the town is well placed. So really, Ojumens has so much going for it. A lot of work has gone in, and OMDis, I think, is the vehicle that was the missing, shall we say, the missing part in that jigsaw to get things moving. And I'm delighted that the mine and the stakeholders actually decided to go this route, because this then becomes the one-stop shop to actually get that town to have not only a viable local economy, but a sustainable one, and that it makes a major contribution to the economy of Namibia in the years to come.
Danny, is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Erica, entrepreneurs create wealth and jobs. Government facilitates, and when I say government, it's not only central government, the regional government, governance structure, as well as the municipality of a town. So entrepreneurship creates wealth and jobs. And that's what's going to make the local economy grow, and that is what's going to make Namibia achieve its Vision 2030 and industrialization and so on. So this excellent rapport that now exists between the stakeholders is not only going to carry Ojumens forward, but it's going to set an example for the country that if there is this roles and responsibility clearly understood, that the various stakeholders have their roles and responsibilities, should not be hampering but rather facilitating, as has happened here with Ojumens and is happening. I think the future for Namibia is bright, and this economy, this country's economy, is going to become the star performer that we all wish to see.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.